can't fit all of it, only a fistful. Is this peer pressure? My mom forcing me to do drugs?
Alright, is it recording?
Yes, it's been recording this whole thing.
Oh, yeah, that's getting taken out.
Alright, here we are.
Hello, phone.
Hi, phone.
Hi, phone. Oh, hi, Mom.
Here we are. We just came back from Guardians of the Galaxy 2 about a week ago.
Hey, say the full title.
Hey.
Volume 2?
Yes.
Okay. And now we're going to talk about it like we used to do for all those movies that we watched last year that we didn't. Yeah.
We also do this for Star Wars.
Right?
That's
Okay.
another one.
I feel less weird about it.
We do this.
Okay.
We do this.
This is something we do, isn't it? I wasn't sure because we missed Suicide Squad and another one. Doctor Strange. That's what we missed.
Our usual format is we do a two-part video. First part is usually the spoilered version. Second part is usually the non-spoiler version. As usual, we will begin with the non-spoiler version, and each person will have their turn to go about whatever time they want to take to say their thing. Alright.
And give a rating at the end.
And give a rating at the end, yeah. Alright, so Jimmy?
What did you think of this beautiful movie?
I liked this movie a lot more than I thought I would.
I liked this movie a lot more than I did.
Yeah. I actually didn't like it very much up until like 2/3 of the way through the movie. Like, I thought it was pretty good, and I was like, okay, this is basically what I thought it was going to be. But then 2/3 of the way through is when I was like, actually like, okay, this has substance.
A little bit. Just
yeah,
a little bit.
This is actually good. You guys know the point I'm talking about where it actually gets a lot, like, where you're like, okay, this is actually pretty good.
This isn't very spoilers, like, no, I'm gonna wait till the spoilers.
Okay, yeah. The action was cool. They did something different with the boss fight, I'll say. That was kind of
boss fight. It's a boss fight.
Yeah, the characters were cool. Some of them, like, I remember you said this earlier, like, they kind of all became Drax a little bit. Yeah, there was a lot of jokes, so if you like the original with all the jokes and stuff like that, have that sense of humor, I think you'll like it. I thought that sometimes they took away from the action. Not the action, but, like, the drama of it, which, you know.
I'm just gonna say, I feel like, sorry if I'm interrupting.
That's cool.
It's really just a progression of what Guardians 1 was.
Yeah, I can see that,
there is, like, Guardians is the joke.
Yeah.
The joke one. Like, this is the joke Marvel movies.
More of the same.
They've been blatant about that. Like, this is where we're gonna put, this is the joke.
There was someone in a class of mine, he said, this very much is a sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Like, the other ones, like, you know, you might see Iron Man 2, and it's not really the same as Iron Man 1, Thor 2, you know, all these other movies. Like,
the first, 20 minutes of Iron Man 1 is not Iron Man 1.
But, with this one, though, it very much is a sequel to Guardians. So, I find that cool, but, I'll wrap up pretty soon, and there's pretty good, Easter eggs that I liked, but the villain was really good, probably my favorite villain in the whole Marvel universe. Overall, I'd give it...
Need this. I'm so uncomfortable.
I guess I'll give it a 7 out of 10. 7.5 maybe just for the villain, but 7, yeah. I would not see it again if it wasn't for the villain. I like the villain, so like
So that's a first for Marvel movies.
Yeah. This movie's alright except for the villain. Like the villain's the thing that brings it up. But besides, I'm like, it's fun.
No, because that's a 50%. That's a failure. It's not a good movie.
If it wasn't for the villain, I would give this movie maybe a 6.
Joshin, what did you think of this movie?
Hold on, I'm not done. I'm almost done though. I would only give it a 6 because of the fact that I don't really like the humor too much. But if you like the humor, I'm sure you'd enjoy it more.
Aerodynamic.
First Guardians of the Galaxy was a surprise success back in 2014.
It's like they drew pot of greed, and then they found out what it means.
Yeah, it was a sleeper hit for Marvel. And casual moviegoer didn't really know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. Like I said, first movie was a big hit, so this sequel, you expect, like with most sequels, to either be really good or really bad.
Yeah, that's kind of the trend when it comes to sequels.
Because you kind of like hype it up based on the first one. So yeah, the sequel had a lot going for it, and for me personally, I enjoyed first Guardians of the Galaxy. Like the others said, this is definitely a sequel to the first Guardians. in terms of comedy and the way it's executed. And
I know what you think about the comedy.
personally, I think the comedy, in some jokes and in some gags, it kind of dragged out a little.
I would like to add a little piece to that. The environment in which you watch a comedy very much changes the way. In this theater specifically, when I watched it with you guys, there were not that many people laughing at the joke. Like, there's always that laugh track that plays in the comedy television shows. It's like, those are there for a reason, if you catch what I'm trying to say.
They're not funny.
Well, no.
It's that
I'm just saying, it's like, this environment was different than how I watched it, and the jokes hit a little bit harder for me in the first viewing of it. But I'll get to that piece when Joshin's
I
finished.
felt like I was the only one laughing.
I really enjoyed the first one, so since the sequel is I enjoyed this one. To me, it just seemed more of a generic Marvel movie. It didn't really have any standout moments. Like I said, the jokes at times would get dragged down a little bit, and even at other times it would downplay a dramatic moment, for instance. Performances were great by all the actors: Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, who else was in it? Bradley Cooper as Rocket. There's no denying that Groot, played by Vin Diesel, was cute. Kind of worried about Groot. I was worried that they were gonna bash you over the head with, "Oh, Groot's cute, you have to love him, buy your merchandise and stuff." But I didn't really find any malice with Groot being cute and all.
Joshin, fucking fight me.
Oh no. Oh no. What else? For once in these movies, the villain was actually pretty substantial, and he didn't seem super one note and kind of bland like most of the Marvel villains have been. What's the name of the villain in Thor: The Dark World?
Dark Eldar, man.
It really was just Dark Eldar.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Dark
Or the name of the villain in Iron Man 1.
Obadiah Stane.
Why do you know that?
The dude.
Because he reminds me of my school teacher. He's really fucking cool.
He was the dude, man.
Tony Stark brought that to the fucking cave.
What would you rate this movie?
For me, maybe it's just personal, maybe it's just my memory, I don't remember these names, but generally people tend to agree that the villains of the Marvel movies haven't been strong characters. And while the villain in Guardians 2 wasn't Darth Vader or anything, he's not one note bland like most of the other Marvel villains have been. Yeah, great performance by the actors. Definitely sequel to the first one, in the vein that it's very similar style-wise and tone-wise. Negatives: some of the jokes didn't land, some of them dragged on a little bit, kind of generic in terms of nothing standout moments compared to Civil War, the airport scene, or the freeway scene, or anything like that. Or
Really?
but overall, I'd give this movie an 8 out of 10.
No, this movie was shit. 9 out of 10.
It's a B.
No, I understand what you mean.
Well, you like Chris Pratt's performance and stuff like that, though?
I mean,
That was one of the few things I kind of found, out of all the performances, I was or the acting, I was this is alright. There was a few scenes where I'm okay, he could have done, I don't know, a bit more. He just seemed a little bit cold, sometimes. Yeah?
I just want to... Chris Pratt sorry, Joshin, for interrupting, but Chris Pratt, I kind of feel only got one range of character. Because he feels like he was also the same dude in
Jurassic
World. It's just... I'm
Andy
watching
Dwyer.
the same character.
Yeah.
It's Andy Dwyer everywhere, all the time.
Dude,
I don't know that.
Fucking dinosaurs in space.
But
That'd be so fucking...
yeah, there's a few moments where he could have been, really good, and I'm okay. Well, it said in I might edit this out later, but it said in the trailer that Kurt Russell's his dad, so it wouldn't be a spoiler to say when you see them act together in an emotional scene, right? 'Cause, of course they're bound to be emotional scenes, yeah. But there's a couple emotional scenes with them where I'm okay, Kurt Russell's really good. He's he's on his A game, but it cuts to Chris Pratt. I'm okay, his acting isn't as good. I don't know. I'm not an actor, so I can't really say. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I think Kurt Russell's actually good.
Yeah, he is a good actor. Yeah,
and I think the character that they had him play is conducive to how he acts. Or how he acted in this movie. So, but let's not get into this.
Okay, sorry,
spoilery.
Joshi. We cut you off.
I also have one more thing to add.
Mm-hmm.
This surprisingly has a lot more heart than compared to the first one. If you're like a sensitive ass person, I don't know, you might cry or something, but
Alright, bitch.
I cried like 70 times.
One of these days I'll make the onion cry.
It's no Final Fantasy 13, but I did get a bit teary.
Yeah, there were a couple scenes where I thought, oh, that's a tearjerker.
Surprisingly emotional, heartfelt compared to the first one. So overall, pros, it's a sequel to the first one, tone-wise, style-wise, generally liked performances by the main cast. The villain is not one note and bland compared to the villains of the other Marvel movies. Cons, though, some of the jokes were kind of drawn out, a little flat, although kind generic Marvel movie compared to some of the others. Like, I didn't really see any iconic or moments. Grade overall, 8 out of 10.
I agree. Oh, it's my turn. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really good. Like, I was super, super excited to see it, and when I saw it, I left pretty satisfied. I thought it was really funny. I thought it was really pretty. Actually, that was like my biggest thing with it. It's such a pretty movie. There's so many cool-ass scenes in that movie. Like, there are shots of planets that are amazing, and there's a couple action scenes that I thought, fuck yeah, this is so cool! And, like, there were a couple other scenes, too, that I found very moving. Like, there's one with Star-Lord and his dad. I'm not really going to go into details, but I thought it was really heartwarming, even though it was kind of funny. And with the jokes, I don't know. I felt kind of weird because I was the only one who was laughing at them. That made me feel weird. I felt bad, kind of. Like, maybe I have a bad sense of humor or something because everybody wasn't laughing. But I laughed anyway because it was funny. And that weird alien Asian lady was really cute. I liked her. She was nice. She was real pretty. She was so innocent. Oh, and there was this scene with, I can't go into detail, but there was this scene with Drax and her, and they're talking.
That's getting a little too concise.
No, we can just cut it, I guess. I guess I'd give it a 8 out of 10. I really liked it. I felt like I left pretty content.
Alright, I enjoyed this one a bit more than almost all of them. Maybe Civil War I don't know. Civil War, I would say, is probably about tied with this movie. Because this movie has shortcomings that Civil War did not have, but has just as much as character, if not a bit more than Civil War had. So to get into the movie itself, instead of comparing it to another one, there was a lot more character to it than what I usually see in these movies. And joke-wise, you know me, like, that doesn't really put much bearing on a movie for me. If anything, like, a lot of jokes will just bring the number down because jokes are a lot of dead time for me. Like, yeah, they'll make me fucking laugh, but what's the substance in that? And that's just me. I felt the villain was very much the closest thing to a shining piece in this movie, because, like, for the first time, like, it's just a full-blown, like, fleshed-out character. Like, you get his entirety. You understand everything you need to know about him throughout the entire movie, and you know it's. I don't want to go too much detail, but he's not this fucking nobody like the dude from the last Guardians of the Galaxy was, or the inverse of that, of Loki, who's a guy you get so much of that it gets to the point it doesn't fucking matter anymore, because, like, his shtick is just being an asshole for the sake of being an asshole.
Wait, who was the villain in the first Guardians of the Galaxy?
Exactly.
That was my point.
You know, given enough time, I could probably figure out his name.
He was the right hand of Thanos. How do we not know this guy?
Hammerman.
Hammerman.
He had a cool name, actually.
He did. Fuck. Anyway, that guy could have been cool. I like it. As for everyone else, I felt like Chris Pratt and his father had a, like, fucking good character interaction. I could see Chris Pratt's acting, like, chops, like, just weren't fucking that emotional and whatnot. But at the same time with his father, like, I would put them very close when it comes to echelons of acting ability. But that part of that is, like, it makes sense for Chris Pratt's father to act, like, to be portrayed in that way, because he's a spaceman. He's an alien dude. He's a bit different than a human. Like, okay, you're afforded a bit of being able to be weird with that. And Chris Pratt, I felt like you're already just a weird person. Like, and the way you're acting, just like, all right, he acts very much like his father, which kind of is not conducive to the idea that there's an otherness to him as being a spaceman. As for the other characters, Drax and what's Drax, well, that brings up another issue. Everyone kind of turned into a bit of a Drax from the first movie, and Drax kind of became different from Drax from the first movie.
Yeah.
It's like nobody there like fully understands anything anymore. And I'm like, wait, what? Why is Rocket Raccoon doing something Drax would have done in the first movie? I thought Drax's shtick was taking things wholesale literally. And like that wasn't really something that, like, okay, you changed that shtick, but now everyone does that shtick.
Yeah, well, now that I think about it, he was a totally different character.
Yeah.
There was like 2 times where I was like, yeah, that's something that seemed like it was written for Drax rather than...
And it very much, just a bit more of that is just like, Drax in the first movie, like, was a very... Like, he had his moments of, like, oh, that's funny, ha, ha, ha. But he is predominantly, like, a much darker character than, like, everyone else.
I wanted revenge against Thanos,
so I summoned him here.
Yeah.
And
I didn't want his lackey.
I didn't want his lackey. Yeah. And he was, like, there is, like, a nefariousness and, like, darkness to him that was not here. He was
like, the whole point of him being with them is because they would eventually meet Thanos.
But to be fair, though, could you not see, could that not possibly be, like, character development from the last movie of him, like, having a new family?
Well, that's a bit of the problem, though. They don't show that change. They like that's a change that apparently occurred between the 2 movies.
I'd have to rewatch Guardians 1 to see if that happened, because I feel like that was like a big theme of it was that, you know, they all
well, there is redemption, but like it's like the problem with movies, they're so short.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
I feel like that's something like he would eventually would have to ease into instead of
what they have now.
Maybe. And they're not doing like if that kind of hard shift in character occurred like in a television show. And it was like, all right, you have Guardians of the Galaxy 1 being like a 5-episode thing in the television show or so. 5 episodes that's about 2.5 hours of show. And then the episode afterwards, you immediately get into this thing and you see that shift of character. And like, there's no time skip or anything. It's just like, oh, our next adventure is this. That kind of shift in character would be seen as, and could be easily played off as, unhealthy. And then you could look at, like, what does that mean for the character that he's doing this unhealthy thing of covering up all his bullshit with, like, humor and shit.
But it's a different medium.
It's a different medium. Right. That's not what that is. This is just 2 movies, and there's been a huge time skip, and so apparently...
It's a lighthearted family movie.
And yeah, exactly. So apparently there was not that, oh, it's an unhealthy shift where he's just playing everything off as jokingly and whatnot. He's actually just become this character in a time skip in between the two movies. Because every fucking movie review we talk about Ava, or I talk about Ava. It's like characters do that quick heel turn in Ava, and they go at length and say, "That's not healthy, dude. What the fuck's wrong?"
Yeah.
And so
let's get into spoilers.
Huh?
I want to spoil.
Oh, we'll get into that. Just to finish off my round, everyone kind of turned into Drax, and it's just like, I wasn't really muddles everything. As for a rating, I'd probably give it a 7. It's been a long time since I've seen Rogue One, but I'd say it's probably about that level.
Subscribe to Fun Films Productions. Subscribe to Fun Films Productions. Subscribe to Fun Films Productions. Subscribe to Fun Films Productions.